I struggle sometimes with how much I want to vent about my frustrations in regard to the world, because most people, I don't think, tune into a podcast or a live stream because they want to feel bad. They feel bad enough. They are doom scrolling every day. They're confronted with the worst of the worst. I saw a meme or a quote or something that said, "It is a terrible time to be remotely intelligent." I don't know if that's true as much as it's a terrible time to be remotely empathetic. It's hard on the heart. It just kills you inside. I saw let me show this to you. I saw a meme the other day, and it is a meme about memes, and it talks about how maybe we share these frivolous memes on the internet to try to stay above the big sad. I feel the big sad. Do you feel the big sad? I feel the big sad. How do you deal with it? How are you feeling about it? I welcome your calls. And when you dial in, we can vent about the horrible, but I really want to hear about how you are dealing, what you are doing to distract yourself, how you are managing to cope with the insanity of humanity and the cruelty all around us, this cancer of cruelty that I swear to you, the Jesus followers are killing me. They are killing me. They, all the time they go to church and it's like love and charity and blessed are the poor and blessed are the meek and turn the other cheek and don't take vengeance and the least of these and vengeance is mine and, whatever. Donald Trump shows up and does the most horrible shit on the planet, and they're like, they just drool over the guy. Somebody explain this to me. God. Killing me. I'll go through just a few of the things that I have been browsing as we populate the calls. By the way, I was on the line just recently co-hosting with Matt Dillahunty, and we were talking about distraction. And I told him that I got hooked on this show called Embarrassing Bodies. I cannot defend it. It is so trashy. It is so tabloidy. Natalie calls it bubblegum for the brain. But even we watch it like you would watch a car wreck. Let me set it up for you. And I appreciate a couple of things about it. First of all, the UK, as I understand it, is much less of a shame culture when it comes to the human body. They just show shit on television all the time, I think. The camera does not look away, especially on embarrassing bodies, where here in the Puritan United States, everybody's clutching their chastity belt and talking about how, you must cover the nipple. The penis may not see the light of day kind of thing because Jesus or whatever rationalization they've got. Save the children. In the UK, they're like, okay, well, people have nipples and penises and it's on our bodies. One of the taglines for the show is, there is no shame. We are all the same. And I kind of appreciate that. Let's demystify it. Let's de-shame it. It's the body. It is what it is. And who arbitrarily decided that certain parts of the body are to be banned? I wrote about this in Fox News Christian, one of the books that I'd written. Maybe it was Christianity Made Me Talk Like an Idiot, where you put a Christian down and you show them part of a televised or film scene. And I use the woman's breast in the example. So, all right, well, you can show how much of the breast until it becomes obscene? Well, you can't show the nipple? Well, why not? Who determined the nipple was the forbidden part? Where did that rule come from? Is the word nipple in the Bible anywhere? Someone explain that. Who came up with the rule? But there is obviously a rule. The same with the penis. And you were able to show a woman's body a hell of a lot more than you were able to show a man's body, especially the penis, in the United States. It's who came up with the rules? Well, in the UK, apparently, as they broadcast this type of stuff, they're like, there is no shame. We're all the same. So I'm watching Embarrassing Bodies. Tabloidy, trashy in a way. They bring people in with these embarrassing, quote unquote, conditions into what is obviously just a set. It's not a doctor's office. It's this sort of white room, and they have those sort of stock photo-esque vials of bright colored scientific looking liquid that you know is just food coloring but will impress people who don't even think about science and medicine. Or they've got a stethoscope lying on the table in the foreground. Well, this must be a medical examination. There's a stethoscope. And yet the whole room itself is the least practical room that you would see in a medical context. The doctor, and they're legitimate doctors. There's 3 hosts, I think, and one of them's typing on their laptop as if they are filling out a form. I must update this patient record. And all of a sudden the patient walks in and the doctor looks up. Well, hello, Bob. Welcome. Welcome to your consultation. Have a seat. Bob, what is the nature of your condition? And this is then when it gets interesting and a little more legit. So I shit you not, I am watching, I don't even know what season, what episode, but this is the kind of stuff that I cannot look away from. There were 2 people back to back on the same episode. Natalie and I are glued to the screen. One guy says, for some reason, my penis is shaped like a horseshoe. Okay, I gotta know more about this one. So the doctor, who looks like he was carved out of marble and has had a shit ton of work done. I mean, he doesn't even look real. It's like 0% body fat, and he's like, well, let's take a look, Bob. So he sits Bob on an actual table and Bob drops trow. He literally just pulls his freaking pants down and the camera goes, right, penis cam. It's right there. For someone who was born and raised in the United States, this is like a foreign planet to me. Oh my God. And there it is. It's like a penis. It's just bent all the way around. How does this happen? So the doctor says, it appears that at some point along the way, you have suffered a kind of injury. Okay, what is the nature of the injury? Not to be base, but was he erect and then he sprinted into a wall? What happened? So then he goes through a procedure, which they show, and I'm not going to be too graphic, but it does involve a scalpel and notches and bending. I couldn't look away. And then he comes back at the end of the show. He pulls his pants down, penis cam, there it is, and it's fixed. A woman came in with something, I'd never heard of this, called tubular breasts, where her boobs were shaped like tubes. It's some genetic thing, or I don't know what it was. They just they shot out. They looked like tubes. Natalie and I are like, holy shit! It's tubular breasts. Camera's right there. Tube cam. So, and the woman just, I'm guessing these people must get free treatment in exchange for going so hard on, like showing everything. Or maybe they just don't care. I don't know. So they're like, well, you have an option here. And the option is almost always surgery in cases like this. And the camera goes in and they do a whole reconstruction. And at the end of the show, she pulls her shirt off. And there it is. There's some scarring, but she has like more proportional, attractive, happy boobs. And she says, thank you, doctors. Thank you. My body is no longer embarrassing. And then she goes off into the rest of her life. This is the show. They do they must do 8 or 10 things every single show. And it's often stuff that we don't like to talk. They do, apparently, they put a plastic bag around people's torsos in their midsection, and they collected a day's worth of farts. And then they measured the farts. How much did someone expel? They put people on different diets to see how much gas would be created. I think they measured the potency of the gas. I don't know what kind of mechanisms or machines do this, but there are fart measuring devices that have been used on this show. I cannot look away. I cannot look away. One lady came, I'm almost done, but I got to talk about the shit that I'm using to distract myself from the horrors that are happening all around us. One lady came in, she had like a, not to be gross, but she had an ingrown toenail, okay? It's a common thing. Rather than have it treated, she put a sock on. She didn't change the sock for 6 months. I guess she showered with the sock. I mean, at some point, apparently, she took it off and she put another one on. Didn't even look at it. No treatment. She just didn't want to deal with it. Like, out of sight, out of mind. So then she goes into this studio that's supposed to be a doctor's office that is absolutely not, because it's only white walls and colored water and a stethoscope and a laptop that does nothing. And the doctor, who is a legitimate doctor, says, let's take a look. Sit him on the bed. Out comes the sock. Jesus Christ. Even the doctor was like, what? You just decided to wear the sock for 6 months and do nothing? Put her through the treatment and the foot gets better. This is what I've been doing. It's so trashy, I cannot defend it. Anyway, British television has all kinds of gems like this. Apparently they have game shows. A friend of mine's from London, so we talk about this stuff. Apparently there are game shows where contestants sit on the other side of a board or a wall, and the wall has holes in it. And people on these dating shows will stick certain parts of their bodies into the hole or through the hole. So it could be your ass cheeks, or it could be, I don't know, it could be your belly button, it could be boobs, chest, it could be penis, it could be anything. They stick them in there, and apparently the contestant will choose a date or a blind date, am I getting this right, based on the body part. That's just, wow. Can you imagine the moral panic that would go on in the United States if they tried something? What's this country coming to? Strange men inserting the schlongs into the holes of the dating game. Oh, God is grieved. By the way, speaking of the Puritans and the hypocrites, I'm sure you read that Jimmy Swaggart died at the age of 90. He will not be missed. Right? The median goodness of the species has probably improved. For the very few who may not know who Jimmy Swaggart was, he was one of many of these prominent televangelists, and this was back when televangelism was really big during the Satanic Panic. There was Robert Tilton, Peter Popoff, and a bunch of others. Benny Hinn was on there, and they're all just so full of shit. How did Hitch say it? They're so full of shit that if you were to give them an enema, they would just disappear. Or you could bury the rest of them in a matchbox, right? I think that's what Hitch said. These were totally full of shit people. And Jimmy Swaggart would go and he would preach to the masses, and he would cry those tears because he was so concerned that people were going to hell in their wickedness. Oh, looky, guess who gets caught repeatedly with prostitutes in hotel rooms? It's Jimmy Swaggart. And it happened over and over and over again. Okay. It's like Ted Haggard in that church in Colorado, mega pastor who was bitching about homosexuals. And then it turns out that he's texting pictures of himself to some dude in the congregation. I think it was, or he was receiving pictures, or they were having some sort of an exchange, inappropriate conduct. Oh, so Jimmy Swaggart, he gets busted. And he does what these preachers do. He comes out and I have sinned against thee, Lord. I'm just a flawed man who is in the flesh. Oh, I throw myself at your mercy, and I'm going to go and refocus myself. I'm going to seek the Lord again, and I'm going to return a better man. Well, this is the pattern. So you disappear for, I don't know, a few months, and you wait, and you hope everybody forgets or just stops caring, and then you come back. And here you are again. You are renewed in the Lord, washed clean by the blood of the Lamb. Preaches again, making millions of dollars, and look who gets caught with a prostitute again, Jimmy Swaggart. And this became his legacy. He finally croaked at the age of 90. Bye. Bye-bye. I get so tired of living in a world where horrible people have gotten away with it. I mean, society made him rich. They made him rich and influential, and come on. I'm just so tired. And that's part of why I have been trying to distract myself with frivolous stuff and going out on the tennis court and maybe, we want to, I'm trying to get out to the movies, let's go spend a couple hours in the theater. That's a little bit problematic these days because people in the theater are just as stressful as anything else. They're talking real loud and using their cell phones. And so sometimes it's easier just to stay home, but that's a whole other show. Anyway, distraction. How do you cope with all of the awfulness? Because there is so much of it. Did you read that Paramount Global, aka CBS News, sued by the Trump administration because 60 Minutes aired this interview with Kamala Harris? And Trump has a shit fit and says this was unfairly edited. So they file, I think, a $20 million lawsuit. And CBS and Paramount Global at first say, fuck off. This is legitimate journalism. We stand by our product. Sue us all day long. And we're like, yes. And CBS and 60 Minutes then do a series of stories exposing the Trump administration and what it has been doing to try to crush any critical journalist out there, any legitimate reporting out there. And I stand by 60 Minutes that this is one of the more prestigious fact-checking news organizations and shows over the past half century. All right. Paramount Global just settled with Donald Trump for like $14 million. What the? Why? Legal experts everywhere said they don't have a case. This is going to set a precedent. This is messaging for the rest of journalistic America and the world. Stick to your guns. Stand by your people. Stand by your reporting. They do not have a case. Paramount Global says we'll settle $14 million, which threatens the ability of journalists everywhere to do their job. Elon Musk and Donald Trump are squabbling. Now, I'm kind of here for this one. Okay. I'm kind of here for this one. Hang on, let me pull this headline up real fast. Share. Elon Musk vows to start a new political party after Trump feud. Well, I think this is, first of all, it's a horrible idea, but whatever. This is according to CBS News. As billionaire Elon Musk feuds with President Trump over his signature tax and domestic policy legislation, Musk has re-upped his calls to launch a new political party. Can you imagine how chaotic, disorganized, and dishonest that would be? How much shit has Elon lied about? Yeah, how many promises has he made that have and I swear the Elon bros are killing me whenever I talk about him. And I used to think he was this boy genius dude. And there's a lot that SpaceX has done that I like. There's a lot that Tesla as an organization has done that I admired. I have a suspicion that a shit ton of people at Tesla are horrified at what their CEO is doing, and they're trying to figure out how the hell to deal with him. I mean, how many promises did he made about the Tesla bot and what was the tube, the transit tube in Vegas that failed, and now the robo-taxi is apparently having all kind of problems. The Tesla taxi or Tesla cab, what do they call that thing, where it's sunlight is screwing up the nav systems, and people are now saying, well, there has to be a human in the car to help guide the Tesla taxi. You know what I'm saying? I mean, over and over. He wants to go to Mars, which is the dumbest idea in a long litany, or one of the dumbest ideas. All right? Humankind is not going to be sustainable on planet Earth. Let's go to Mars, and then we will terraform Mars, and we will colonize that planet. And I'm like, well, why don't we just terraform Earth? And don't tell me there's a population crisis with 8 billion people on this planet. He thinks there's a population crisis. He's telling people to procreate. You need to breed like rabbits. It's almost like the biblical thing. Be fruitful and multiply. There are 8 billion people on this planet. Are you shitting me? We are resource black holes. We are literally torching our own home because there are so freaking many of us, and we are all acting so irresponsibly. And he was like, well, you know what? Let's all go to Mars. Boy, genius, my ass. Oh, anyway, so he and Trump are buddies. He and Trump are buddies, and let me go back to full screen. And it's all kumbaya and Doge and everything. And Trump's selling Teslas on the White House lawn, and nobody blinks. It's just insane. And all of a sudden, there's a falling out, and we knew it was going to happen with people with egos this size. 2 men, children with egos this size. We knew it was a matter of time. I thought it was going to happen a whole lot sooner. I told Natalie February. I said, I'll bet you a coffee it happens by February, and instead it happened last month, and it continues today. And so then Elon calls Trump a pedophile, says he's got smoking gun information in the Epstein files, the Jeffrey Epstein files, where Trump was apparently having sex with minors on Epstein Island, and it's all locked away in these documents that for some reason the White House doesn't want everyone to see, which essentially says this. Elon comes forward and he says, I've got the smoking gun, I've got the papers, I've got documents that prove it. What he just admitted is that for all of the time that Elon and Trump were buddies, he already knew that Trump was a pedophile, a child rapist. And he said nothing until the 2 bros had a falling out. Every accusation is an admission. Then Elon sees that his stock prices are continuing to plummet and his options are starting to become few. And he comes back and he says, I may have overstepped when I was talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump says, screw you, doesn't return his calls him persona non grata. So Elon then decides, okay, well, that didn't work. So now he's back on the anti-Trump side. He's going after this horrible, quote unquote, big, beautiful bill. And he's saying, I'm going to primary. I will fund primaries for every Republican office that voted for this. And I may start a new political party. Well, I'm all about the rattlesnakes turning on each other. I'm all about that. Let them chew each other to ribbons. Just let them, yes. There's no soul. If souls exist, the Republican Party hasn't had a soul. I don't know. The party of Lincoln is long dead. There's this whole laundry list of on-the-record video clips, interviews, speeches of right-wingers talking about how Medicaid and Medicare are off limits. It's off limits. How dare they? How dare it even be suggested? Big, beautiful bill stacks the deck. tax breaks and wealth for the upper 1%, and look what's going to get sliced away, Medicare and Medicaid. These people, there's no bottom. There's no bottom. Every time you and I think there is a floor, one day they're going to smash against it and they can go no lower. No, the floor keeps getting lower. And then I have to go and do something else. I'll walk the dog. I've been putting audiobooks in my ears as I walk Linus around the neighborhood. I'm currently listening to the new audiobook by E. Jean Carroll, who just won her legal case and an appeal where two juries, a jury and a judge, or two juries confirmed that she had been raped by Donald Trump and that he had defamed her by calling her a liar in every name in the book. She won across the board. Across the board. And she's written a book about, so I'm listening to that, which is probably not a good distraction. But it's interesting. Nice to hear from a winner in this fight, somebody who came out on top. I mean, he devastated her life. He was vilified, dragged through the mud. And I'm interested in Donald Trump's claim that he didn't do it. Because he didn't say, what a horrible thing to say. I respect women. And I respect E. Jean, and even though we have our disagreements, I would never have raised a hand or a finger because I find this sort of behavior atrocious, this kind of predation, especially in the context of so many women who have been assaulted. I think this type of thing is atrocious. I stand against it. I will have my day in court because I would like to have my story told as well. But I want this in no way to diminish the legitimate cases of women who have been assaulted. And know that this is my character, this is who I am. And it is because of that character that I resist the accusation against me. I am pro-woman in the best sense of the word. Right? We expected that. We were hoping, well, we didn't expect. We were hoping for it. You know what his protest was? She's not my type. And what's the subtext of that? I didn't rape her. I mean, she's not my type. Oh, shit. What about the people that are his type? I mean, who thinks like that? This is the same guy who, when the Twin Towers fell on 9/11, people are dead. The world is watching in horror, much of the world. The United States devastated. History, we are not going to be the same country from that moment on. It is a crisis. It is murder. What's the first thing Donald Trump says on live TV? Looks like I've got the tallest building in New York now. I got to sit back and watch a bunch of Bible-thumping, chest-banging, pious Jesus warriors tell me that this is God's man. Or the Lord sometimes uses flawed people to carry out his will. Jesus. Here is some good news. I see the callers beginning to line up. I will get to you, but I don't know. I got to rant. Is it okay if I rant just a minute longer? Check this out. So Ryan Walters is the superintendent of public instruction in the state of Oklahoma, where I live. He is a nightmare. He, a few years ago, posted a video of his favorite books. Among them are the Bible and a history book by David Barton. Now, if you don't know who David Barton is one of those guys who was so full of shit, if you gave him an enema, you could bury the rest of him in a matchbox. David Barton is a history revisionist. He has lied about how the founding fathers supposedly wanted Judeo-Christian values in a Christian nation. This was their desire all those hundreds of years ago. That's horse shit. I did a whole speech about this called Jefferson's Jesus, where I dismantle these claims. David Barton is the guy who published a book through Thomas Nelson Publishing, which is a massively Christian organization. And his book was so full of lies that Thomas Nelson Publishing yanked the book out of bookstores, just nixed it. And so Barton is now selling it on his own. A Christian publisher pulled his book because it was so full of crap. And this is the book that is on Ryan Walters' shelf that he's showing to the state of Oklahoma. He's had his head so far up Trump's ass he could check for cavities. He's obviously pining for a federal position somewhere, right? His lips are so orange, I swear. Looks like he's been eating Cheetos since January. So he has been injecting right-wing evangelical Christian revisionist mythology, nonsense, bigotry, conspiracy. January 6th type conspiracies into Oklahoma public education, as most of the Republican Party sits there like Captain Pike in Star Trek, just So a lawsuit has been filed. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the lawsuit. Check this out. This is out of the Oklahoman, which is the biggest newspaper or online newspaper in the Oklahoma City area, probably in the whole state. A second lawsuit is attempting to block Oklahoma's plan to have public school teachers educate children about Christianity and the 2020 presidential election. Who writes this shit? Why would you use the word educate there? Why not put it in quotes? Educate. I'm so pissed at the media these days. The new social studies standards touted by Republican State School Superintendent Ryan Walters were approved by the Oklahoma State Board of Education and allowed to take effect by the GOP motherfuckers controlled Oklahoma legislature. I just added that in there. A group of Oklahoma parents, teachers, and religious leaders are now asking the Oklahoma Supreme Court to throw out the standards. They contend the state education board violated religious freedom protections, the law requiring accurate and age-appropriate content, and the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act. Let me see if they list some of the stuff that's in here. The new standards have been widely criticized as possible political propaganda, with students being asked to, quote, identify discrepancies in 2020 election results. I swear. The standards also include dozens of references to Christianity in the Bible, far more than are mentioned in the current framework. Walters has repeatedly pushed for a Christian Bible to be in every Oklahoma classroom. And remember, it wasn't long ago, he wanted the Trump Bible, $60 Bible, which is, by the way, made Donald Trump millions and millions and millions of dollars. All the while, you can go down to the corner store and buy a Bible for $6.99, or you can go to BibleGateway.com or OpenBible.com or any of these websites. You can read the damn thing for nothing. Totally free. And the grift is going on, and everybody, I swear, the MAGAs in my zip code, or they're literally drooling orange, going, I just love this guy. He loves Oklahoma. He loves God. So he's being sued. Students, I think a few teachers. I know it's not the ACLU. Americans United is involved in that lawsuit. And so they're going to take Ryan Walters and the Oklahoma Department of Education to court because this is, as they say in legal jargon, absolute horseshit. Donald Trump refuses to attend the funerals of the assassinated politicians in Minnesota. Won't even call Governor Tim Walz. Won't even make a phone call. He goes golfing. You know where he does attend? He goes to the Alcatraz tour, what they call Alligator Alcatraz in Florida. It's a concentration camp that was put together in just a few days that they are going to use to incarcerate, aka torture, pretty much anybody that they deem an enemy of the state or illegal. And now he's talking about taking naturalized legal residents of the United States and calling them illegal and locking or deporting them. I swear to you, it's just crazy. And again, I'm surrounded by people who are like, I just love that guy. He just loves America. He loves people. Jesus loved Donald Trump. How bad can it get? And how do we deal with the big sad? Natalie was asking me about the midterms. What do you think's going to happen? Jesus, I don't know if we'll survive to the midterms. I mean, the midterms seem like a millennium away. It's this untraversable distance. And then we watch Embarrassing Bodies and the Yorkshire Vet. We got hooked on a show called The Ugliest Houses in America. Holy shnikes, there are some ugly houses in America. And it's a great show. They just go from region to region, and people who for some reason paid a ton of money, $500,000-$600,000 for, I can't even describe it. People taping shattered mirror and or caulking shattered mirrors all over the walls. There are people with shag carpeting around their toilets. There are color schemes that would make your eyes scream in protest. And they paid for these. Or maybe they inherited them, and they thought, well, we can fix it up. Or they thought it was cool in the moment, and then they woke up the next day after the first 3 mortgage payments arrived, and they thought, what have we done? So they submit their houses to Ugliest Houses in America on HDTV, and they are profiled on television. And then the winner of the ugliest house, and it's usually not the ugliest house, I think it's usually the one that's most palatable for renovation. They win. Ooh, you now get a $150,000 renovation by esteemed renovator and, in my opinion, genius Allison Victoria, who comes in and is able to look around a house, the butt ugliest of houses, and say, oh, I know how to fix this. And they rip out walls and ceilings and shelves and kitchens and tiles and everything else, and they rewire and they replumb and they put this in and they do that, and they transform these ass ugly houses into something magical. I am hooked. Ugliest Houses in America. That's more bubblegum for the brain. It's more of how I cope. How do you cope? What do you do? I am most interested. How long was that rant? I didn't mean to go that long. I'm so sorry. Who got me worked up? Somebody did. 502. Hi, you're on the air. Can you hear me?
I can.
Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I'm a 62-year-old gay man, and to say that all of this is very, very concerning. So you asked the question, what do we do? How do we cope? And I'll be honest with you, my method of coping is in the leaving. I have worked all of my life trying to advocate for the rights of others, and after recent events, that's just not working. I have looked at different countries in the world and formulated a project where I had a contractor in, had him do some work on the house. I'm slowly packing up. I intend to find a job that is an online job, and do a digital nomad visa in either Spain or maybe Uruguay, which are amenable countries to for gay people. So for me, it's focusing on the project. It's because quite frankly, I've seen this movie before, and I know how this one ends.
Does it help being able to disconnect, or do you find yourself still thinking about it when you're doing other things? I have a hard time partitioning totally off. Like, I'm aware that I'm now doing this to distract myself from that, so I'm still thinking about that. I don't know. It's a weird psychology. Does that happen to you?
It does, but honestly, I've got to stay laser focused because it's not just me and my husband. It's also my mate and his husband as well. And, I'm focused on saving both families, and we do absolutely believe that our lives are at risk at some point.
What do you mean by digital nomad? I've known of people who do that, and they're very transient. Sure. But describe what your definition is for people who are wondering what you mean.
So a digital nomad visa is a visa extended to people who can and do work online all the time for a company, usually outside of the country that you're living in. So what you do is you apply for a job, you start working, and sometimes some countries have a requirement that you work in that job for a certain amount of time. But then you can apply for a visa that says, I'm going to work outside the country for this online job and work completely online, and therefore, they will extend a visa to me, and I will be able to live and exist, within that particular country. So a digital nomad visa is for online workers.
Yeah, I think I want to say it was Thomas Westbrook, Holy Kool-Aid, who was a digital nomad for a long time. He's obviously, he's like me. We do a lot of our work that broadcast online. I could probably take my setup anywhere in the world, almost anywhere in the world, and do what I do. And I think that was his thing. I don't know. Natalie and I have fantasized about leaving. Like, where would we go? Who would have us? What would it be like to even try to get dual citizenship or any of those types of things? And then we get overwhelmed, and then we go have tacos. Does that get overwhelming? What was your solution? Is it a bureaucratic nightmare to get through those types of things?
It definitely is overwhelming from time to time. And not just for me, but for them also. I'm the organizer, and so, like I said, I try to stay focused on the goal. But certainly for them, they see the news articles, and and it's just one thing after another, and they're doing the best they can, with the guidelines. But we've got two families. Two houses that have to be made ready and have to be sold, in order to of course we have to all find jobs and stuff like that. We've got one of us that are actually retired at this point, so that's good, But
yeah.
But the rest of us, we're still working.
My heart breaks for what you. I mean, I'm. They're going to come for us all, but I'm going to be lower on the list. And I hear about you and your immediate. I mean, I was reading just a few weeks ago about how the Southern Baptist Convention, and I think they're one of the more forward-facing. I think there is a culture of people that are aching to pile on, but they want to make LGBT marriage illegal. They want to delegitimize non-heterosexual relationships in that way. And I know there's a whole culture of Project 2025 types and just straight up bigots who would love for a national mandate along those lines. And I think you're just right in the crosshairs. My heart breaks for you. But you do have friends and family here. And, whatever happens, I hope that you land in safety and with goodness all around you. And keep us in your loop. Let us know how that journey goes, okay?
I definitely appreciate it, Seth. Thanks so much for hearing me today.
Oh, yeah, it's an honor to speak to you. Take care of yourself.
Cheers.
Which brings me to another headline that I just recently saw. This is out of Gallup polling posted June the 30th. American pride slips to new low. Now, I've never been much of a chest-thumping, love it or leave it, America is the greatest in the whole world. I mean, there was a little bit of that when I was a Fox News Christian. We are the greatest country. I believe that, but I didn't hate any other countries. And I certainly didn't hate the United States. And of course, now I've come to the point where I look at this nation, and I just think we have lost our way. We are a dumpster fire. And apparently, you and I are not the only one. American pride slips to new low. Jeffrey M. Jones posted this a few days ago. A record low 58% of U.S. adults say they are extremely or very proud to be an American. 58%. That's down 9 percentage points from last year and 5 points below the prior low from 2020. The 41% who are extremely proud isn't statistically different from prior lows of 38, 39 recently. But I'm watching this. Those findings are from June. 19% say they're moderately proud. 11% only a little proud. 9% not at all proud. The combined 20% on the lower end of the pride scale essentially ties the record, 21% measured in 2020. I don't know what the correlations are for the, for the dates. I'm on the very low end. Why would I be proud of what we are, who we are, what we've become? What would give me pride? What in the world is there to be proud of? What are we doing to make us proud? We are the laughingstock of the world. The rest of the world is most of the rest of the world looking at us in horror. What the don't want to get worked up again. Hang on. 434. You've been on hold for about a half hour. Most patient, thank you very much. What's your name?
Hey, it's Tim.
Tim, glad you're here. Let's talk. What's on your mind?
Well, you really inspired me the last couple of times I talked to you. But before that, I do want to say, being your age, brown, orange, and mustard yellow are a wonderful color combination for a home. It's beautiful. You know exactly what I'm talking about, too.
Yeah, okay.
No, my way of coping is you really challenged me to think about activism and being more outspoken. And the reason I called is, and I'm going to tell you something that's going to kind of outbeat everybody. I used to be a watch commander at a Department of Corrections facility, and I worked at a road camp. I covered all the day-to-day operations of the camp, and I thought about this alligator Alcatraz, and I was trying to think of what you could do, or anybody could do, to keep that in the limelight. And I was thinking, as a watch commander, if everybody in a very short period of time was to mail items to the facility, they will not let them in. However, if enough people did it, it would make the news, and it possibly could change things. And what I was thinking was, pick a short time period, and anybody who feels compassion in their heart, go to Amazon, send it to the address for that place. And if we inundated them, it would definitely be newsworthy. And maybe they'd have to tell the news, oh, we can't take this stuff. We can't provide it. but I also think it shows an outpouring of love and support for the people that are there. Wanted to hear your thoughts.
I think that's good trouble. It's almost like, and I like the clever stuff like this. It's almost like when Jeff Bezos tried to rent out all of Venice for his wedding. And of course, he's just an oligarch piece of, anyway. So he goes there and people don't want this. So what they do is I guess they were going to put fake crocodile heads in the river or something. I'll have to look the story up. And there was so much of a blowback that he had to change his wedding plans. And I like that. You know, when the UK and Trump visited the Queen and they flew those big blimps of the big Trump in the diaper, right? Diaper Dawn. I love that kind of stuff. And I love the idea of people overwhelming a horrible system. It's almost like, you know what? You've just reminded me of something. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I am not a well-connected individual. I'm just an old retired guy. But you have a lot of connections. There's a lot of channels, a lot of people that you know. And maybe you guys be that think tank, you know. And like I said, if you inundated them, I would love to see what the reaction. I'd love for them to let the stuff in, because hey, they're going to need bottles, they're going to need pacifiers, they're going to need blankets, they're going to need things like that. And especially if it comes from the secular community, wow, what would that say?
Oh, I misunderstood. I was thinking you overwhelm the people at the system with like bullshit stuff. You're sending
no.
You're sending them rubber chickens
exactly
and copies of the.
Oh no, anything. You could do it that way if you want to. My thought was, hey, we give donations to Goodwill. Put them in a bag. If they're usable, send them in.
No, I like that better.
It's a way. Go ahead.
No. Forgive me. I actually like the idea of not only we're not being just snarky to overwhelm a horrible system, but we are then putting in humanitarian materials because we care about the people who are there, which might be, if on the rare chance it actually does make it to them, benefits them, but it also demonstrates that we want to be not just those who curse the darkness, but spread some light. I like that even better. Go ahead. Forgive me. Go ahead.
No, I actually, that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, is I knew you'd be able to think tank it. And I know that, like I said, you and so many other voices out there. If you all put something together and said, hey, you know, on this day, we all go to the post office, we all, you know, spend $1 to put something in a box that could help somebody out, and see what the outcome is. And you know, connections that you have in media. I know that's hard to say nowadays, but I mean, if you knew somebody that was in the media, invite them out for this, you know, tell them about it, and see if you could get news coverage on it, because it does put politicians on the spot, and it does make them have to explain their ideology a little bit more.
I'm interested in my mind as to what return address I put on that envelope, because, you know, that's a whole nother database that I might end up on, which is fine. I'm probably on it anyway, right? Before long, I'll be declared an enemy of God, which means I'm an enemy of the state, which means I hate America, and I'm a traitor, and maybe I end up somewhere I don't want to be. I don't know. I think about that one.
Seth, I'm an ordained minister and an atheist. I think you're ordained too as well, because you have performed marriages. It's one of those. Hey, they're coming one way or another.
One way or another. Yeah.
But no, I would highly encourage you to reach out and think tank it. You are the ones that could pick the day. You're the ones that could explain it in a way better than maybe I could. And I think that, one, it shows a lot of love and support for those people, because I know what those conditions are. And even when they say forget it. Absolutely forget it. It's one of those, you ever tried to air condition a tent? I live in Virginia. Down here, I can't air condition my pop-up camper. It doesn't blow out enough cold air to make it cold. So I know those tents get hot. And it shows that we're not forgetting about those people, that they're still our neighbors and people that we care about.
I wish I could clone your empathy. for the rest of the planet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the death of empathy, the celebration of cruelty. I love the attitude behind what you brought to the show today. That is so good. Yeah, I like the idea. Let's make some good trouble. Let me chew on that one, okay, bro?
I will, and I'll close on this. That's actually what I use for my counter apologetic for morality. Is people go, where do you get your morality from? I said, it's really simple. It's just empathy for all parties involved. It's trying to really understand other people and seeing it from their perspective. And yeah, I guess I'll leave it on that. And Seth, as always, I appreciate you. I will keep you in my prayers as a minister. And as an atheist, I'll tell you, keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Okay. Who are you praying to? I'm not the only one asking. Is that just good vibes?
I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to take George Carlin's on. I think it was George Carlin on this. I pray to Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci?
Because he's a man who gets things done. He's a man who gets things done.
Well, you can quote Carlin anytime on this show. Thanks for calling. Be safe out there.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you later. For those who may not know what he means by alligator Alcatraz, let me pull up real fast one more primer for everybody because I want to do my due diligence. Alligator Alcatraz. President Trump visited Florida Tuesday to tour what has been dubbed Alligator Alcatraz, a controversial migrant detention center in the Everglades that officials say is poised to start filling its bed in a matter of hours. Again, this is days ago. The president, joined by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, Ron DeSantis, blah, 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 and he praised the facility. It's so professional. It's so well done. Well, his joke was that it is in proximity to the predators of the Everglades, from pythons to alligators to mosquitoes. DeSantis says what'll happen is you'll bring people in here. They ain't going anywhere once they're there unless you want them to go somewhere, because good luck getting to civilization. So the security is amazing, natural and otherwise. Donald Trump says, yeah, well, if they escape, maybe they'll get eaten by an alligator. I'm paraphrasing, but that was the vibe. These people bust out. Fine. Good luck with that. Gator will eat them, and it'll be their own fault. And that would make another great press conference. So while he is laughing about the concentration camping of people in this horrifying facility, he's also laughing about the idea that they will get eaten alive by alligators, and it has been called casually now Alligator Alcatraz, which I think may have been an insult or a way to diminish or decry the insanity and the inhumanity of it, and the shit ton of people have embraced it. Oh, Alligator Alcatraz. Kind of like it. It's catchy. The cruelty is the point. Susie at 850 Hi, you're on. What's up?
Hi, Seth. I'm glad to talk to you. The title, It's a Hard Time to Have a Heart, really touched me because I'm an atheist and a secular humanist, and I have a very big heart. I'm a very compassionate person. I mean, I'll cry at TV commercials,
Mm-hmm.
But the cruelty of this administration and this bill that's being passed that cuts out health care and SNAP benefits, and they're so pro-birth, but they don't want children fed and getting medical care and their families. And I have a hard time wrapping my head around it. I was an elementary teacher for 30 years, and at many low-income schools, some students would come late by no fault of their own. It was their parents' fault. And breakfast was closed, and they had not eaten. Maybe they didn't eat dinner the night before as well. But I always kept breakfast bars and juice in my classroom or cereal and milk so that they could eat as soon as they came in my room and be ready to learn. And the gutting of the education system and Medicaid and Medicare and food benefits, it's like they just want to keep people sick and hungry and uneducated. Is that the goal of this cruel administration?
Well, I think there are so many motivations fed by so many. I mean, there are a lot of gears in that machine, and I'm not a mind reader, but I think you can infer what makes a lot of people tick by what they say and what they do. I think dehumanization is a way to excuse doing the inhumane to other people, right? You remove their personhood, you make them a thing, an object. This is the calling card of the cruel authoritarian dictator types, the oppressors throughout human history. I don't know. I myself am overwhelmed by the cruelty, and the only thing that keeps me going outside of the occasional distraction is a reminder that we are seeing a pushback from those tens of millions of people. And many of those people are demonstrating now in the streets to say, no, we reject. We want love to win. We are all brothers and sisters on this planet. And they are good medicine for me, but it's still hard to wake up in the morning because you know how awful it's probably going to be. So I don't know. I feel your pain, Susie.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and I only watch Midas news for my news. I don't like the cable news media anymore. And I like hearing the laws, all of the laws that Trump is breaking or has broken, and unconstitutional things he's doing. And I'm just hoping that one day karma comes calling for him and his unqualified administration, especially the puppy killer, Kristi Noem.
Well,
who,
we shall.
My heart just hurts every day, and what gives me solace is I listen to your podcast, I listen to The Scathing Atheist, I listen to the shows on the line, I listen to Justin on Deconstruction Zone, and I'm having to believe that humanism and kindness and love can win over the hate. And maybe I'm a cynical idealist, I guess.
Well, I think a lot of people can relate to that. Thank you, Susie, for your perspective today.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak on your wonderful topic.
You're very
it's a hard time to have a big, compassionate heart.
All right, Susie.
Thank you.
See you later.
You do.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
What's that line? First they fascinate the fools, then they muzzle the intelligent. The system, right. Skeletor in the chat said, no one's going to educate the people enough to overthrow the system. Keep them distracted. Throw bright, shiny, horrible, strange, bizarre, crazy shit at them so that they're always distracted and disoriented, and then we'll be able to get other stuff done over here. This is a tactic. It's a tactic. Bob at 732, thanks for your patience. Are you there? Bob? If this is a web call, tap your phone to reactivate it. Let's try a web call out of San Diego, California. I do not see a name. What do I call you?
Hello?
Hello. Hi, what's your name?
Am I on?
Bob? No, it's Richard. I see it now. Forgive me. It's not Bob.
Yes,
Richard,
that's
welcome. Yes, you're on. What's on your mind?
So listen. Well, a few things. Number one, we're going to see you again in August in Canada. Been there the last couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
Very good programming, and
Thank
you
you.
gave a wonderful speech there. So I wanted to thank you personally for that.
Thank you.
Well, what's on my mind is, I'll state it in a very short sentence, but there's a lot of things going on. You're in Oklahoma, so you know what's going on there with the religious right wing trying to take over the schools. At the same time as we have the MAGA Republican Party taking over the wealth of the nation and giving it out to their special few folks. I mean, they have basically taken the American dream and turned it into a nightmare for everybody except the really rich people. And it's really sad. You know, you go back in history, I've been politically active and religiously active for a long time, many, many years, decades. And if you remember during George Bush's term, they called it enhanced interrogation. It was torture.
Yeah.
And we've been creeping toward this kind of stuff all along the way, and we didn't scream loud enough every time that they, moved the goalposts a little closer to authoritarianism. And now it's really right in our face. So, people have to organize. We may need to have a general strike. There's just a lot of things. One of the things that I think would be a good thing to do if we do get to have another election in 26 is get out there and register all the people who got cut off Medicaid, because they will all be pissed, and I don't blame them.
Do you find yourself, and I'm not proud of this necessarily, but do you ever surrender to your more base feelings about those who voted for this insanity? I mean, if somebody enabled the awfulness and, oh shit, I just lost my Medicaid. Oh, my workers are now gone and I don't know what I'm going to do and my business may go bankrupt. Oh, I've got a major medical event and I'm not able to, like if calamity meets I don't believe in karma, but I do like the idea of cause and effect. Do you ever think I would like the people who are causing suffering to suffer? Do you ever think that?
No, because I think what really happened to a lot of those people, first of all, the ones that grew up in religious families got brainwashed not to think correctly. They got to believe in some one person who knows everything, and they translate that over at Trump. And they were not taught to think critically. I mean, our education system is as much responsible for this. When I went to high school, we had classes on civics and everything, and some 20 years ago, they got rid of all that, most places. So, the average 19, 20-year-old, they don't teach that stuff anymore in most places.
I lost you for.
And then we have the guys.
I lost part of your call.
And then we have
I'm sorry, I lost you for just a second. So the gist that I may have missed was they don't teach civics anymore, so people don't understand the past and certainly how it relates to the present, which is a big part of the problem. That plus the indoctrination that comes with religion, et cetera. Am I catching that right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, you interview people all the time. I listen to your program. I listen to The Line. I listen to, a variety of those shows. And the kind of ignorance that people call up with to try to say, well, this is why I believe in Jesus. And they haven't got even a shred of evidence for anything. It's just really what they've been indoctrinated into, and that they want to believe it so they can avoid, the quote hell thing, which doesn't exist. And, it's really unfortunate. I'm working on some writing, which is going to be encouraging, that we need an Enlightenment 2.0. The first one took us out of the Dark Ages and got us into a democratic policy, which wasn't really very democratic in our Constitution early on. But at least it got God out of there, didn't get rid of slavery. But in any case, we need to get to where people are, and I think your program's doing it. I think a lot of these programs are doing it, to get people to stop and think, how are they making decisions? Are they looking for evidence, or are they just going with their, confirmation bias of what they were brainwashed in when they were a kid?
Richard, what do you do to deal? What's your medicine, your mental medicine? Do you have? I guess writing is probably part of this, right? Being spreading some light. Anything else that you do to kind of help get yourself through the day?
I was involved in the June 14th demonstration where I live. I was one of the security monitors, and we all need to get out there and chip in any way we can. I mean, I have a long history of involvement, from civil rights to Vietnam to the Iraq War and all these other places we've been lied to, and probably this one. But basically, what a lot of people are saying is people need to get off their ass. A lot of people are comfortable, so it doesn't bother them. But that comfort's going to disappear, because I just retired after 41 years of law practice.
Whoops, I lose him again. Richard, can you hear me? I think we may have a bad connection. I grieve that I wouldn't be able to hear the end of this. Retired after law practice. Richard, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, he's back. Please start me at the beginning of that thought. You're retired after 41 years of law practice, and?
Right. And what I've seen, there's a couple of themes. With the religious thing, what I see what the Supreme Court's doing is they're putting mythical beliefs above harm to actual human beings over and over and over again, as they're creeping toward a Christian theocracy with their 5 or 6 people majority. But it's really important that people get involved, participate in things, go out and help get people registered to vote, particularly those that they're going to lose their Medicaid and their SNAP benefits. They should have a strong desire to vote these people out, hopefully. But I mean, we have to do things. That's I remember during the Vietnam War, on college we had teach-ins. Maybe we need to do some more of that kind of stuff, where we get people in community together and explain to them what this means. But what I was saying, the most important thing from my law background is due process is the dividing line between tyranny, Gestapo, SS, and democracy. It's already shown when they shipped off those first 2 groups of people to El Salvador. They didn't get 1 minute of due process. They just said, "Oh, you got tattoos."
And he's gone.
I'm back.
So they didn't get 1 minute of due process, and they've got tattoos, and
they're Hispanic, so obviously you're guilty, and we're sending you away.
Yeah.
And they did. I mean, it was, and the whole pitiful argument about Garcia not being brought back. Nothing we can do. Oh, bullshit. Yeah. Can you imagine if Trump said to the guy, the head of El Salvador, if you don't send him back here tomorrow, we're going to bomb the shit out of your country, like they just did with Iran? He would have been back in 10 minutes. The lies that, and one of the guys in Congress, this was really blew me away, stood up and said, "We're making Medicaid better." One of the Republican senators, I think it was Barrasso from Wyoming. There doesn't seem to be any sense of truth is important anymore in this country,
As a lawyer, it must be, or an ex-lawyer, it must be maddening to watch the Supreme Court and the system in general.
Oh my God.
It just must keep you up at night.
I follow those things very closely, and I'm on several Substacks, and I comment on them regularly, to try to open people's eyes when they don't see what's really going on behind the scenes. Because it's, I spent.
And he's gone. Richard, I'll beg your forgiveness. It sounds like we got disconnected. which is just happens when you do online shows like this, and the online web calls sometimes get a little sketch. But Richard, you're much appreciated, and standing up for the letter of the law is it has to be something that's maddening for a whole lot of people who are advocates for the law. I mentioned that I was going to be in Canada. Let me real fast digress and tell you about the events that are coming up. There is NanoCon, the Nashville Nuns Conference, not nun as in Catholic, but nun as in no religion. We identify as having none religions. That's going to be July 26th. That's a Saturday in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm going to be there with a whole ton of people. Warnock is back. Dave Warnock. I haven't seen that guy in over a year. I was worried. He's got ALS, and people have been wondering, is he still with us? Well, he's back. And so I sent him a text like 4 months ago. I'm like, dude, are you okay? And he said yes, he's dealing. I think he's past it. He wouldn't mind me saying it this way. He's past his expiration date, like he was given just a few years to live. And while his body has certainly been withering, he is still kicking, and he is going to be on stage at NanoCon in Nashville. So I'm looking forward to giving that guy a big hug and catching up with him. BajaCon, the Blue Water Atheist Humanist Agnostics event, that's coming up the weekend of August 8th through the 10th in Sarnia, Ontario. This is 90 minutes north of Detroit. So what we do is we fly into Detroit, and then we just hop in a carpool and we just go. And the hotel, the venue, is right on the U.S.-Canada border. It's separated by the river, which the name escapes me all of a sudden. But we're so close to the border that from the hotel, like if you get up in the second floor, you can actually see the United States. You can see the border crossing station. And so you're right there. So a lot of folks are going up, just skipping right over the border. It's an easy drive for a lot of folks up there. And it is a fantastic event. I mean, they just do such a good job at BajaCon. I am bringing one of the hottest speeches I've ever given. I'll tell you about it in just a second. And then I'm not going to be at FFRF, but for those who are curious, the Freedom from Religion National Convention happening the weekend of October 17th through the 19th. That's going to be at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, I have links for all of these on the main website at thethinkingAtheist.com/events. So a lot of folks are like, hey, how do I get there, and what's going on, and how do I get tickets? Do you even need tickets, etc.? You can go to thethinkingatheist.com. And it's all listed right there on the events page. There's also the store. And I've got mugs with the icon on it. I've got the cat mug with the cat drawing that Matt Dillahunty had tattooed onto his leg. It is now a mug and a t-shirt. Some other stuff's on there. It's a great way to support the channel. Links to tons of other pages and podcast and video channels, etc. I need to update it, but it's pretty good. Lots of stuff. thethinkingatheist.com. The speech I am working on, and I've been writing it this week. I don't. My stuff is. It's usually really. What's the word? Accessible? So that almost anyone, anywhere can tune in and they're not put off. It's not it doesn't have an anti-theist vibe, or I'm not too nasty about people and circumstances. I mean, I go hard at religion. I did do Blood Cult about Christianity a couple of years ago and had some walkouts. But I was talking about Christianity. It is a blood cult. And so I took some of the major tenets of Christianity and I applied them to other religious models. And I'm like, why is it batshit and horrifying over here? And it's totally acceptable and normal over here. And we prayed to a God that I made up and asked to be covered by the blood and washed in the blood. And we talked about how culty communion is and all these other things. And I was pretty hot. I went pretty hard at Christianity. And I had some people who got pissed off. I was in St. Louis, I think. Was it St. Louis? I was somewhere, and they just walked out. One guy demanded a refund for the whole conference, and I was just one speaker. This is not why I bought a ticket. I'm like, did they Google my name before they showed up? He did not get a refund, by the way. But it's rare that I am that hot on the stage, that I go that hard. I am writing easily the most barbed. I have to give this speech. I am going to give it as two people. I am not, those who are buying tickets, who are going to be there, it's all going to be a surprise. I am two people. I am giving the speech as if I'm trying to describe the state of things to the aliens. So the aliens land. They're like, hey, hello, what are you like? What is the nature of your species? What is your system of government? Can you take us to your leader? And I sit them in a lawn chair and I'm like, hang on just a second. Let me explain the shit that's going down. And I explain it as two people. And I separate those two people by like a buzzer or a bell. I'm going to have something kind of funny where there's happy, clappy Mr. Rogers. Let's all sing songs together and hope and be optimistic about the future, Seth. And then I go hard and I speak the darkest thoughts in my brain, Seth. The stuff that I don't even often say to this audience. And then I switch back. But maybe it's going to be okay. Oh my God, we're freaking screwed. And I'm going to give it this way because I think a lot of people can relate. I think they can relate to that duality, right? The desire for good, the spreading of hope. We want love to win, but you gotta be, I just can't believe how bad will it, what's the matter with that? And then you want to put your hands around somebody's throat and you go back and forth. We all have, I'm convinced we all have that duality. So I'm going hard and I'm writing the speech going, oh man, I'm not going to have any walkouts at NanoCon. I don't think there will be some Christians there. I mean, I think there may be Christians in attendance. It's the Nashville Nuns Conference. That's no religion, but and then BajaCon, Blue Water Atheist Humanist. I'm not worried about that one either. But I don't know, I'm going to get pushback when it eventually maybe goes online later on in the year. We'll be interested to see what the feedback is. I had meant to bring this up earlier. How am I doing for time? So we were talking about good trouble and how do we disrupt in a positive way? I just read this story on KTLA News. As immigration operations continue across Southern California. Who writes this shit? Immigration operations is a phrase, it's a term that legitimizes the awfulness. I swear the media is failing us. Immigration operations across Southern California and the U.S., a new app that allows users to report sightings of ICE agents in their area is gaining attention and controversy. The platform is called ICE Block. Launched in April in response to President Donald Trump's crackdown on immigration and the mass protests that followed, according to the app's creator, Joshua Aaron. The app allows users to report sightings of immigration and customs enforcement ICE activity in what Aaron said is an effort to protect bystanders from physical confrontations. I think that's bullshit. Protecting the bystanders may be part of it, but I think this is good trouble. We take good people, many of who have been in this country for decades and raised their families and worked their asses off and pose no threat, who are now being targeted because, let's face it, they're brown or black or whatever. because they have been dehumanized and they're going to be stripped out of their lives and sent to who knows where, some torture prison, be it Alligator, Alcatraz, or El Salvador, or whatever, right? I think this app is a way to rally people. Right? It allows, first of all, those who are targeted to get small, right? To get away, to become invisible as best they can. And it also empowers people to be able to resist ICE. And we've all seen the videos where people are coming forward and denying them access. Granted, things get really sticky. There's always the threat of violence. But these people who are walking around playing soldiers, dressed in camo with masks over their face, you know, they're playing out every freaking sandbox army man fantasy they have ever had in their lives. Many of these people, don't tell me they have a background in law enforcement. And then what causes or what keeps other people who aren't ICE from just putting on camo and masks and sunglasses and showing up and claiming they have the authority? These could be militia people. They could be terrorists. They could be white supremacists. They could be anything. And the excuse is, well, we don't want them to show their faces because we are worried about their safety. You gotta be shitting me. I'm all about ICE block. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Was Seth just an enemy of law and order then? It's an immoral law. These are practices put in place by an immoral person running an immoral dictatorship, a kingship, an oppressive non-democracy at war with its own people. You're damn right I support ICE block. And apparently, it's the number 3 most popular app downloaded on Apple, and it's one of the most popular apps on the other phone platforms as well. It's exploded. It's massive. ICE block. ICE block. I see a couple of super chats. Laura, thank you for your $2 of support, and $5 from, is it Organique or is it Ore? Hard time to have a heart indeed when our current administration is piling up shiitake that we couldn't catch up. Your podcast, Seth, is a good reliever. I don't know. I mean, people are so kind, but I mean, I go off on a tangent. Sometimes I think I'm wearing you out. Am I wearing you out, or am I able to articulate in effective language what you are thinking and feeling, which takes me full circle back to the beginning of the show? When you listen, is it like, oh shit, I can't do any more of this? Or is it like, yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking, and it's catharsis. It feels good. You tell me. I just want to serve. Karen said, thank you for your rants, Seth. They give me fuel. Well, I was told when I was a believer, my spiritual gift was the gift of the gab. I'll take that. Oh, someone earlier in the show mentioned I was a minister. I guess the word minister works. I'm ordained in 2 different organizations because, yes, I do officiate weddings, and I'm honored to be able to go and do that around the country. I am, first of all, I'm a dudist priest. So I am am I 3? I think my monkship has expired. I became an ordained monk 10, 12 years ago. There's a website that you can go and you can just fill out a form, and I think it's $10 or whatever, and you can become a monk. I'm like, well, I got to do that. I want to be a monk. So I told Natalie, hey, honey, you are married to Father Seth. I am an ordained monk. I'm now going to get the brown robe with the rope around the center, and I'm going to shave the top of my head, and I'm going to go, and we're going to live in a castle because I am not a monk. And of course, can monks be married? That's a logistical question I'll have to navigate. I then became a dudist priest. So for those of us who are fans of The Big Lebowski, which is one of the greatest movies that has ever been made, ever, there is a religion that is wrapped up around Jeff Lebowski's character, the Dude, played by Jeff Bridges. The Dude, right? And he's just chill, and he's kind of centered, and he doesn't let things jack him up and freak him. Walter occasionally, makes his life hell, but overall, there's a philosophy behind the dude, which is just find your chill vibe. So there's a whole it's an actual religion. You can get ordained and get a certificate at the Church of the Latter-day Dude. I am a dudist priest. So that's 2. And then I have an ordination from a more legitimate, a more mainstream organization called Universal Life Church. And essentially, they just ordain anybody, religious or not, to give them legal power to officiate. So if you don't want to be a preacher, a priest, you're not a minister, etc., but you want an ordination so that you can be a humanist officiant, a secular officiant, or whatever, Universal Life Church allows anybody and anyone to do that, and so I am ordained through them. So I've got my little certificate, and I've got my little thing, and so I am. But that's what they meant by minister. That's what I meant by minister. David is dialing in from 609. David, welcome. What's up?
Hey there, Seth. 609 is a Jersey area code, but I'm in North Crackalacky now, North Carolina.
Oh, welcome. What's on your mind?
Absolutely. I wanted to talk about the marquee at my church that I get to write on. So at the moment, it's got let your outrage fuel clarity and then turn into action.
Let your knowledge fuel clarity and then turn it into action.
Outrage. The word outrage is on the marquee. And then you mentioned fuel and the duality, and that's what I think is very fitting. It's very fitting right now that there is a lot of outrage, and then we have to spin that into a space of knowing and then hopefully act upon that accordingly.
Knowledge is power.
I agree. So I was hoping just with a little talk from you, we can pick what's going to be on the marquee in my church next.
What kind of church is it?
Oh, it's a Methodist church, man. I'm the only non-believer on the staff, but they're okay with that, and so am I.
There's a Methodist church in Austin, Texas that has an atheist preacher. I asked Matt, I'm like, how's that even done? I spoke at that church. I was in the building under the stained glass as an atheist, going hard against religion, specifically Christianity, and they totally opened the doors and welcomed me. I mean, I'm selling atheist books in a Methodist church, so I guess it's not impossible. What would be on the marquee next time? I'd like to throw this out to our commenters. I would choose almost anything from Robert Greene Ingersoll myself, but I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
And on the opposite side, because that's the street side, that's what everyone sees. But on the opposite side, it says, "Be kind, dude," which was inspired by Lebowski right there himself.
You got a dudist kind of a vibe on your church marquee, and it's a Methodist church? Wow.
Well, a common value is a recovery-themed church, and that's what brings us together, recovery from addictions and substances.
All right.
So, yeah.
I like it.
It's been a few years now.
Let me ask the commenters what they would put on the marquee. I think this would almost be a great contest. And so we'll monitor their wisdom and see what they have to say, okay?
I appreciate your time, Seth. Thank you for all you do. And I want to say that ministry for me, I still, even as a non-believer, I do consider myself a minister because I think it is service. It's service to the community.
I like it. Service to our humanity. Mm-hmm. Appreciate you, David, so much. Thank you.
I hope to see you at NanoCon, man. I'll be there and I'll shake your hand.
I'll be there. That's a date. We'll see you then.
Take care.
Yeah, that's a great event, by the way, in Nashville. It's just so much freaking fun. And you will get 2 speakers for the price of 1, because good Seth and evil Seth are going to be getting on the plane. We paid for 1 seat, but we are 2 men at war with each other. Michael at 505. Thanks for your patience. You're on. What's up?
Well, thank you. Well, sir, I've been listening. I wanted to say that I have encountered Christians in the past, and they always ask me why I betrayed the cloth. And I'm like, well, because I'm an atheist now. I believe in the pale blue dot. That's our tiny home world. And I'm like, I can't believe in God anymore because I'm an atheist for the fact that we live on a small, insignificant planet. And I don't know what to do anymore, honestly. Your thoughts?
My thoughts about how to cope with what's going on in the world.
Well,
I'm asking you.
Yeah,
what do you
much,
think?
I'm pretty much coping. What I cope with is basically online. I go online with my friends and play online games like World of Warcraft, EVE Online, Star Trek Online, trying to escape from reality. But the reality is that people like myself are isolated from normal people, and I tend to clash with people. And I try to keep my job as it is, and I clash with my coworkers at a public school. I'm a food service worker, and they don't like me because I'm an atheist. And when I recite the Pledge of Allegiance, I leave out God and I say under freedom, and they all look at me as like I just shot their dog. And they're like, you're not supposed to say that. I'm like, I'm going to say it anyway, regardless how you think.
Well, we're not on this earth to keep other people comfortable, are we? I mean, we can be true to our own value system and speak about that. We can give ourselves the latitude that they demand for themselves, right?
Right. I do understand culture and diversity amongst our insignificant planet. And, I just, my hand's shaking.
I think it makes you human. I think it makes us human. You and I feel grief and despair and fear. It's hard. I just want to sometimes walk off into the forest and carve canoes for a half a decade because I'm overwhelmed by the fire hose to the face that is today. Yeah. And I doom scroll, and every time I think it can get worse, it does get worse. And the only thing I know how to do is I've been trying to be outdoors more. I've been trying to spend time with the people I love more. I've been trying to get a little exercise on the tennis court more. I have been activisting more, whether it's part of the public protest or doing some writing or trying to spread and promote the better ideas. But even those things are imperfect and they don't seem like nearly enough. They're good medicine for me. But all I can do is say I relate, and I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, and I feel like our country has slided back. I'm scared that, that my lifestyle will become illegal or I don't know.
Yeah.
I am one of the ones that are distracted. Like I said, I play online games for the sake of interaction and doing something. And when I get on like a platform called Second Life, people are talking, religiously to, nonsensical stuff. And they're like, why are you not talking? I'm like, because they're not talking anything intelligent. There's nothing worth talking about. Then why are you here? And I'm like, that's a good question. I'm bored. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go play something. Log out and go play like Star Trek.
Just find find what works for you. Find what works for you. But I think all I can say is many of us understand what you're feeling because we are feeling it ourselves. The one good thing is to remember that we're not alone in this, and the reason we grieve is because the good is not dead, and there are a lot of people who still crave for goodness to prevail in this often terrible space. But you're much appreciated, and I thank you so much for calling the show.
I thank you, sir. I just wish I could talk to you more often. Do you have Discord?
I have a Discord account that I use for the line to be able to get show information. I hate Discord because I don't understand it. It's like teaching your grandmother to program the Blu-ray player. But yeah, I have it.
Fair enough.
So.
I have Discord, and it's a major part of my life. It's like a web page system and with voice, and I'm writing a sci-fi fantasy at the moment.
See, that's good medicine. It's creative. You're engaging your mind. You're able to separate yourself from the headlines of the day. It's really, I think that's good medicine. So keep doing that, and best wishes with the project. Okay.
Okay, can do, sir.
See you later.
Have
Take care of yourself. Yeah, I want to like Discord. Everybody's like, do you have a Discord? Are you on Discord? I got a Discord. I hate Discord. I don't like the interface. I don't think it's intuitive. I'm overwhelmed by all the channels. There's got to be a better way. And everyone's like, well, you're not using it correctly. So I asked for a tutorial. They give me a tutorial, and I'm like, I still don't like it. That's just me. I'm out of time. You are good medicine for me. Chance to just let it out, to get some feedback, to interact with people who haven't lost their moral mind. To know I'm not the only one who sometimes dreads getting up in the morning because I just can't fucking watch anymore. To try to hold out some hope that this too shall pass. Because you hope the same thing. What do we have if not each other? And if we're going to push back, we need each other. We're better together. That's something. All right, I'm going to go around the block. I got to take care of the dog. Tonight we'll watch some embarrassing bodies, and then we'll get back to the necessary work at hand. In the meantime, you keep on keeping on, and I will see you later.